Greetings out there to everyone in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. We are now just a week away until WrestleMania weekend. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQTurns20. First one today comes from Calvin. Now that Daniel Bryan is cleared, WWE needs a new Smackdown general manager after WrestleMania. What about Paul Heyman? Brock Lesnar will most likely be gone after Mania, so Heyman could be fitting the role pretty easily. Your thoughts? What about Heyman? What about Raven? Raven could be general manager, but seriously though, Paul Heyman would be a great choice. However, I feel like at this point, Paul Heyman is more of a special attraction. When he does show up, it's something special. If he started appearing on television every single week, he will not be quite as special. Plus, I feel if Heyman is going to be sticking around, let's just say Brock Lesnar does leave WWE and Heyman is still available to make appearances, I think Heyman would be more useful being a manager for somebody else instead of Brock Lesnar. Of course, you could also have Heyman writing SmackDown, which I think most would agree would be a huge improvement to the current SmackDown writing team. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I will say this. Any Paul Heyman is better than no Paul Heyman. If he's going to be around and WWE wants him to be the general manager, then have him be the general manager. At least we get some Paul Heyman and he's doing something. Any Paul Heyman involvement, I feel, will improve the show. It's just a matter of what he's doing exactly. The more you use him and the smarter you use him, the better it is. This one comes from Clayton Sterling. Hey Aaron, love the No DQ&A videos. Been a fan since the first one. My question is, who will replace The Undertaker as the locker room leader once he's gone? Keep up the great work. I think that the person to replace The Undertaker is probably Roman Reigns, not just as far as being one of the top stars in WWE goes, but behind the scenes being the guy that everybody looks up to. And I think back to that incident with Enzo, where Enzo was allegedly thrown off the tour bus by Roman Reigns. It almost feels like Reigns is already taking in that role of being the locker room leader, the guy who speaks for the other wrestlers and represents them, and the guy who has the respect of the locker room. It feels like Roman is becoming that guy. He's not just Vince's boy, but he's also the guy who shows up to work every day. He's always on time. He's a company man, and he's earned his way to the top in WWE. Whether fans want to accept that or not, Reigns has really put in the time, and it's just a shame that his character has been portrayed in a way where the fans have come to resent the guy. I don't think that's his fault. I feel Reigns is doing everything possible to succeed in WWE. He's not taking the shortcuts. He is part of the Samoan family, so he did have that as an in, but I feel like he has earned his spot and earned the respect of his peers. So if I had to say anybody, I'd say Roman Reigns at this point. Got this one here from Future Shocker. Do you think fans are going to resent and turn on Ronda Rousey like they did for Roman Reigns? She's being forced down our throats. She comes in and gets a big match at WrestleMania as a debut match. I don't think any other female wrestler has done that. No female wrestler has done that because for years the women were not considered a priority in WWE. Now they are. Now it's a different story. She is a celebrity, so she's being brought in and she's considered to be a big deal, much like Mike Tyson was when he came in. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. These were major celebrities that came in and were put into high-profile spots in WWE. Tyson did not wrestle, but he was still in the main event at WrestleMania and was still a focal point. Same thing with Ronda Rousey. She's a celebrity. Her first match is going to most likely be her biggest match in WWE because it is the first one. It's historic. there's a women's revolution going on right now. I think fans will have to see how this plays out. I think it's too soon to turn on her. She might have a great performance at WrestleMania. Who knows? I say give her the benefit of the doubt. For me personally, I do have my doubts, but at the same time, I know that what really counts is what happens at WrestleMania, and we'll see if she can go out there and she can hold her own or not. We'll see if she can get through it without too many smoke and mirrors. That remains to be seen, but I think we'll have to wait and see how she does before judging her performance and judging her spot in WWE. But I totally understand WWE, what they're doing with her right now. I would do the same thing. I would put her in the main event at WrestleMania coming off of her UFC run. The potential to draw in some new fans and create some buzz, I would definitely take advantage of it. So, again, I don't blame WWE for doing this. Will it pay off in the long run? That remains to be seen. But from everything I've heard about Rousey, she's putting in the time. She really wants to be good at this. So I say, let's see what happens with it. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. What's up with more commercials on Raw than action? It's WrestleMania season. These build-up shows have been very lackluster the last few years. Your thoughts? It could just be that the shows have been so bad for you that it feels like the commercials are longer. I definitely understand that. It's weird because with The Walking Dead, for instance, I feel like that show has declined in terms of the quality, and it also feels like at the same time the commercial breaks are longer. So it just might be my overall frustrations with the show, and I'm looking for any excuse to knock it. I think that could be the same thing with WWE. I really don't feel like the commercials are any longer. I just think fans are frustrated and they want something to complain about. It is possible, though, that there are more commercials. I haven't been keeping track. It's not really that noticeable to me. Usually when the commercials are on, I'm doing something else. I wonder if somebody has actually tested it. Gone back maybe 5 years and watched a whole episode of Raw and recorded with a timer the amount of commercial time versus now. I'd be curious to see if there was, in fact, any difference. I'd be surprised if there's anything significant. Again, I just think fans are frustrated with the product right now, and that's why the commercials and the time of the commercials stands out more. I think if Raw was on fire and it was a hot show, it might not be as noticeable for fans. They would just overlook it because they're invested in the actual show, that the commercials really don't bother them. This one comes from Liam. Hey Aaron, Undertaker missed 2 WrestleManias, 10 and 16, before he lost the streak to Brock. Would he have kept going with the streak and gone 23-0 if he hadn't missed those 2 WrestleManias? I don't think missing those WrestleManias really had anything to do with Undertaker's streak ending at WrestleMania 30. I really don't think it was a factor at all. If Undertaker had been 23-0 or whatever going into WrestleMania 30, if Vince decided it was time for the streak to end, it would have ended. The number itself, I don't think made that much of a difference. I think at the time, Vince felt like Undertaker was close to retiring at WrestleMania 30 and decided we need to do something now and pull the trigger on it. And then Undertaker just decided to keep going, and WWE brought him back at WrestleMania 31, and he's been back the last few shows. I think it just came down to Vince feeling that it was time to end the streak, and it wasn't a matter of the numbers and how many shows he missed in the past. I really don't think that that was a factor at all. Got this one here from Joshua. Hey Aaron, have you noticed that with all the women's first, they still haven't done a last woman standing match? Why not have Bayley versus Sasha in that kind of match at WrestleMania? Well, you would have to ask the big man, Vince McMahon, that question. I think the problem with doing Sasha versus Bayley right now, first of all, is that WrestleMania is such a loaded card that it's going to most likely be lost in the shuffle. Ideally, Sasha and Bayley would have been done a year ago. It would have been done way sooner with longer build and more thought put into it. And then you could have possibly done some sort of grudge match with them at WrestleMania. I think it would make sense, though, at some point to do a last woman standing match. And I definitely can see that happening at some point. WWE's doing a first for all these different match types with the women. I think it's only a matter of time. And I do think that Sasha and Bayley, with the way this storyline's going, it's all about being personal with them. It's not about titles or anything. This would be the match to do a last woman standing, considering how personal it is between them. This one comes from Stuart, and he is a first-time asker. The Usos deserve a spot on the main card after how good they've been this year, but looking at the rest of the card shaping up, I can't see how the other matches will be on the pre-show. So do the Usos get put on the pre-show yet again? It could very well happen, because the Usos match, the triple threat tag team match, I would have to say on paper is one of the weaker matches on the card. The only thing is the Usos have made a big deal on television about not getting on the main card in all these years that they've been in WWE at WrestleMania. Because of that it was specifically mentioned on television, I feel like they have to be on the main card now. Like I've said in other videos on NoDQ Live and on the NoDQ Review, I am really curious to see which matches end up on the pre-show. It's going to be very intriguing to see which ones WWE goes with. I could see Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax possibly being on the kickoff. Maybe one of the Battle Royals. Actually, for sure one of the Battle Royals. It's just a matter of which one. And then I think the Cruiserweight match will end up on the kickoff show. Usos, I would suspect, are going to be on the main card just because of the fact that the Usos have made a big deal out of it in their promos. Got this one here from Aaron Riff's cat. Cool, my cat is sending me questions. The world has certainly gone upside down here. I know you push for compelling storylines in WWE, but do you think the problem with that stems from no compelling characters? Everyone is just a wrestler and nothing more, as you can line them all up and most of them hardly stand out from the other. This is definitely a factor, but I feel like that is more on the talent than the writing team. Yes, the writing team can come up with characters and develop characters, but at the same time, I feel like the wrestlers need to take that extra step to make themselves stand out. Take a lesson from Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart was all about the ring jackets and being unique and not looking like anybody else. And I think that that's a really good mentality to have. You have to go out there, you have to stand out, you have to be unique, you have to be, like RVD might say, one of a kind. And I think the problem is a lot of these guys just don't stand out and they're just focused on work rate. They're focused on going out there and having great matches instead of thinking about the sports entertainment aspect of it. Look at Macho Man Randy Savage. A great wrestler, but he had the look. He had these outlandish outfits, the robes, all the different outfits he wore over the years. Randy Savage dressed like a superstar, like a larger-than-life persona. But you have all these wrestlers that just look like average people off the street, and they don't really have that star presence. I do feel it's partly to blame the wrestlers, and then, of course, the creative team. They can come up with some unique characters and ideas, but at the end of the day, the wrestler has to go out there and pick out his ring gear and come up with some outfits to wear. I mean, they do have that creative freedom to a degree, and I think more people need to take advantage of that and do whatever they can to stand out in order to succeed. This one comes from Justin. You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son. LOL. No, seriously, what did you think of Farouk back in '97? Watching his promos today, he's a better heel than today's roster and could have been WWE champion worthy. Your thoughts? See, I thought Farouk was just okay as the leader of the Nation of Domination. The most interesting thing about Farouk was the racial storyline with the Nation accusing Vince of not pushing the African American talents. I thought that that was an interesting storyline, but Farouk himself, I felt like he just really wasn't connecting with that character. I feel like he did way better when he was paired up with Bradshaw and they formed the APA. That's when Farouk, I think, really reached his full potential and he had a character that was more compelling. The Farouk thing was interesting and it did work for that period to a degree. But the thing is, I don't think that gimmick would have worked in any other era, because the Attitude Era, you could get away with that kind of stuff and doing those controversial storylines. I mean, I don't think there's any way a character like that could even exist in today's WWE. So I do have mixed feelings about it. I feel like because it had that creative freedom, it was able to succeed. But even with that, it still only worked to a degree. And I think Farouk really found his calling, not as the leader of the Nation, but as a team with JBL or Bradshaw as the APA. This one comes from Aaron Rift, Should Be King. Could you see Samoa Joe being added to the IC title match at the last minute, perhaps being a surprise similar to the Hardys in last year's tag team ladder match? I don't think so now that Rusev has been added to the United States title match. I don't see the IC title match being a four-way now. I think it's going to stay a triple threat. I hope Joe does have something at WrestleMania, though. He missed last year's WrestleMania. So for him to miss 2 in a row, that really sucks. That really sucks for Joe. I hope he gets a spot on the card. My guess is he'll either be Strowman's partner or he'll be in the Andre Battle Royal. And if he is in the Battle Royal, he should be winning it. Maybe him and Big Cass will take those 2 roles. It's just a matter of which guy gets which role. But I would definitely like to see Joe in one of those 2 roles at least and get an opportunity to shine at WrestleMania. Considering the great year he had besides getting hurt, you know, he had that match with Brock Lesnar. He was part of a great main event at SummerSlam. He beat Roman Reigns. He had a really solid 2017. He just got hurt, and then he got hurt again, and it's really stalled his momentum a little bit. So I'm really hoping he gets something at WrestleMania. This one comes from It's the Costanza. Do you think Andre the Giant versus The Big Show would have been a huge money match, big match deal, if Big Show was in the old WWF days in the Andre the Giant years? I would think so. I would think that in terms of his size and being right there face-to-face with Andre, I think that it would have been a money match, just like Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd. I think Big Show and Andre would have been an interesting match. I don't think it would have necessarily been good from a technical standpoint, but it certainly would have been interesting. If Andre was in his peak, like if this was like the 1975 Andre the Giant against the 1995 Big Show, maybe it would have been a pretty good match. Who knows? Because Andre, when he was younger, was quite athletic. He could do some things, and Big Show early in his career was doing drop kicks off the top rope. So yeah, if you took both guys in their physical peaks, I think it would have actually been a pretty good match. If you had 87 Andre versus, let's just say, 2001 Big Show, I'm not sure if it would have been that good. Yeah, it might have been a spectacle, but technically I think it would have been a disaster. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ Video. Stay tuned. No DQ beanies are being produced. More of them are on the way. Grab a t-shirt, ProWrestlingTees.com, search No DQ, or check out the link in the description box. Don't forget about the No DQ 20-year anniversary meetups. On Facebook, you can RSVP. Chicago, Money in the Bank weekend is the first one. Los Angeles is the second one in November for Survivor Series weekend. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors regarding WrestleMania. Check out the other videos, subscribe, tell a friend, and I will see you guys next time for another video.